Welcome to Logistics Unplugged. My name is Brian Blaylock, and I'm your host, and I'm happy to jump in today to all things logistics. So let's pull back the curtain, take a look under the hood, and have a great discussion. And we're going to have some fun today with a couple of good friends, and we're going to talk a little bit of logistics, but we're going to get into the gnarly, fun acronomy. That's a new word that I just coined to the English language of it today. And we're going to talk about logistics lingo. We're going to talk about all the terms that make our little industry that we're in so weird so that everyone can understand it and jump in and participate. And my guest today, and I'm going to acronym the crap out of you guys, are Holt Parsons, the Senior Manager of Account Management. So I'm going to call him a SMAM or SMAM. Holt, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And this is a return victim. Holt's been here before.
I have. Yeah. So, glad to be back.
All right. So we didn't scare him off too much. And I'm extremely excited to have another good friend, John Schoen, the Carrier Sales Enablement Manager, or SESM for short.
That's what people call me. They call me the SESM.
Hey, SESM, you going to eat that? So listen, thanks everybody for jumping in today. And today we thought we would just have a little bit of fun and hopefully leave you with a little bit of information that lets you, when you're working with your partners, when you're working with your carriers, when you're paying attention to some of the documentation that you see come in, so it makes a little bit of sense to you. And so we're gonna go a little silly with some of the acronyms and some of the pieces, but we're also going to go through the normal lingo, excuse me, and make sure that we all understand it. So I'm going to start from the top here, and we're going to talk about some simple definitions, but we're going to go industry first. And we're going to talk about some of the differences in between what people would consider a freight broker versus a 3PL versus a 4PL. Who wants to jump in on that one?
I can go for it.
All right, let's hear it.
So, freight broker, 3PL, and 4PL. Well, to start, I would say a freight broker and a 3PL are pretty similar, right, in terms of they can almost be used interchangeably, but by definition, there is a little bit of a difference. With a freight broker, you're traditionally just offering a truckload LTL. Hey, I'll direct you directly with the standard kind of capacity in the U.S., right, or wherever you're shipping.
Mm-hmm.
But then the difference in a 3PL and a freight broker, the 3PL usually encompasses a more wide-spanning suite of services, right, but still in a little bit of a more transactional nature, whereas you can jump to a 4PL and you're talking about a little bit more strategic. Hey, we'll handle everything, right? Like from A to Z, you go through us and we'll contract with carriers across the board and be able to think a little bit more strategically on how we're planning and going about aligning your supply chain, right?
I like it. And one slight thing I'll add to that too with the 4PL side is I think in terms of technology, layering something over the top. And so in those particular cases, whether you already own contracts of your own with the carriers and someone is hosting those for you and then developing other relationships for you and tying all that together, that 4PL is more of a management and technology piece to tie it all together. And
correct.
I think people think of 3PLs, they just think of the three sides of that relationship. Three sides? Are there three sides? I guess if you're a triangle, there's three sides. You got the shipper, you got the, let's call them either freight broker or the representative on that side, and then you got the carrier. So there's three pieces of that relationship, and once you get to that 4PL side, there can be warehousing technology. There can be any number of pieces to manage the overall supply chain. So great answers, Holt. Thank you for that. John, you got anything you want to throw into that, or you want to jump into the next stream?
Let's just go into the next stream. You guys
I like
did a
it.
good job there.
All right. So I love this next term, and we've used it before, and it's something that we want all of our customers to aspire to be, but shipper of choice. Talk to me about that, John.
So a shipper of choice, right? If you're a carrier, you want to show up to a shipper or even a receiver, right? It can be a receiver of choice as well, too. Is it easy to get to? Is it easy to check in? Do you have the right pickup numbers? Is the person at the front desk friendly? You even have, hey, do they have facilities for that driver to use, right? Can they go into a break room and get a snack or use the bathroom or even take a shower at some of the facilities too while they're waiting to get loaded? If I'm a carrier, I want to go to a facility that's easy to work with. They're, friendly, enjoyable, not a lot of issues. They don't send me away 2 blocks to sit for 10 hours and wait for a call to go get loaded. But that's what I'm looking for as a carrier, as a shipper, or even, again, a receiver of choice too as well.
I like it. Great definition. And just since we're talking about logistics language, Just so you know, John's talking about the truck getting loaded, not the driver. So we want to make sure.
Very true. Very true. I mean, yeah, we're not going to have our drivers go and have a bar at our shippers. Of course.
That would make you a shipper choice, but I don't know if that'd be freight we want to pick up at that point.
Yeah.
So we'll jump in now to a few of some of the differences in types of freight, and let's talk about LTL. I mean, it seems like a simple definition, but Holt, what's LTL? Tell everybody what LTL is.
LTL. Less than truckload,
You
right?
got it.
So
Ding, ding,
not a full truckload. You're not paying for the full trailer, 53 foot, 48 foot. It's in general, right, much more consolidated space than the full truckload space. Much more standardized when it comes to pricing, accessorials, things of that nature. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people are relatively familiar with it, but that's it in a nutshell, right?
You picked one of my favorite words when you first come into the industry. As a longtime watcher of Beavis and Butthead growing up, when I first came into the industry and I heard the word accessorial, you immediately go into, he said accessorial. So what's an accessorial, Holt? Tell me about that.
An accessorial, right? So I signed myself up for that one, right?
You did. You joined right in.
I might struggle with the technical definition, but it's essentially, right, a charge that occurs during transit that was not pre-negotiated, right? So John talked about it a little bit earlier on the full truckload side with getting loaded quickly, right? There's standard loading times that you have to get the trailer loaded. Detention is one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be a layover, could be that's more of a full truckload one, right? But if you have to add a lift gate or a residential delivery in the LTL space, I might be signing myself up for more acronyms right there or logistics lingo words, but right.
Oh, the list keeps growing, Holt. It really does.
It's hard not to when talking about logistics, right? So, but yes, right. It's a charge that occurs during transit that was not pre-negotiated, but it's some sort of standard. Hey, if this happens, you pay additional because of that, right?
Yeah, and those words are sometimes used interchangeably. And to be clear, and Holt's 100% right, especially when you're talking about truckloads. Some of these charges are added after the fact, but accessorials are a normal part of LTL, so they're just services, right? So
Right.
You said it: liftgate, appointment, inside delivery. It could be any number of services.
Right.
But I just love that word, so we had to start with that. And talk about some of the things that you have to know in LTL that you don't have to know in truckload that define how the cost works out for LTL.
Right. So being in the truckload world, when you need a truck, right, you're not worried about really how much the freight weighs up to a certain point, right? Because you do have
Right.
to make sure we're in legal weight and all
Mm-hmm.
all the standards that need to be met. But for LTL, you'll also have to worry about, hey, how dense is my product? How much space does it take up in the truck? That's how more of the LTL pricing is done. It's done by how much space in that 53-foot truck is that freight going to take up. So yeah, there is density calculators, freight classes, a lot of tools that you can go and find online too as well to help you out as well. And a lot of carriers do right on their website too as well to help you out if you ever have questions.
Yep, absolutely. And I love where you went with that. And it's interesting, we've had some new rules changes in LTL where although things were very class-driven, and class, for those that aren't familiar with LTL, is basically the price tag. What does it cost per hundredweight to ship something? And it's traditionally been based on what the commodity is, and now probably 75 to 80% of it is based purely on density. So, if you're a carrier and you got to carry 500 pounds of feathers as opposed to 500 pounds of bricks, you're losing a lot more space on the truck. So therefore, you're going to be charged a higher class because they need to charge you for weight, and that weight needs to be charged at a higher cost per weight because you're occupying too much space, right? So it's pretty simple, and the industry's evolved to a way that as long as you understand your density and you have that piece of it down, then you have a good understanding of the freight. And then I see a last piece on here. Anyone want to attack the hub and spoke model?
I can go for it.
Okay.
So it's essentially, right, there are some truckload carriers that kind of set up their operation similar, but it's very common in the LTL industry when it comes to a centralized hub, right? And they may have multiple hubs, but essentially, you think of logistics, right? Point A to point B. Okay, so I pick up in Dallas, I deliver in Atlanta, right? Except from a carrier standpoint, sometimes it's more efficient to pick it up in Dallas, haul it to their hub in, say, Nashville, where they consolidate with a lot of different other loads to basically maximize the space on that trailer that they're utilizing for the longer miles and save on gas mileage and CO2 footprint and all those things, right? And then ultimately deliver. So it's a model that carriers operate in, where they centralize their transportation going in and out, and not necessarily a straight line from point A to point B, right? There's a middle ground where they're taking a trailer to and then interchanging it, essentially.
Yeah, I love it. It's almost exactly like it sounds, right? Somebody's picking up the freight locally, taking it to a terminal. They're loading that onto a truck into line haul to get it over to another terminal somewhere else, and might happen a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be more than one wheel on this this bicycle, and then as it gets down to the final destination, then it's going to go into a terminal, get loaded to a truck, and taken out to the receiver. So when you are shipping LTL, you have to remember it's not like the world of loaded on a truck and it's going to the destination. It's going to get touched a lot. I think a smarter person than me, when they were teaching me about LTL, said, look out your window when you're getting on a plane and look at the people loading the luggage. And if you got 2 or 3 connections on that flight, that's LTL. It's getting handled a lot. It's getting moved a lot. And but carriers do a good job of taking care of it. But understand they're humans. Humans drive trucks. Humans load trucks. And the more it's touched, the more chance it has of having some damage or a little bit more length of time transpiring before it gets delivered. So far, so good. We're getting through our terms. Next, John, I'm going to dig in hard with you on this one.
Let's go.
Let's get into some of the truckload terms and going right back into Beavis mode on this one. Tell us what a reefer is, John.
Well, it's a plant that, but really what it is, it's a refrigerated truck. So anything, you have your perishable food goods, even pharmaceuticals, anything that needs to be temperature controlled. It is the same size as your standard truck, just has that refrigerated unit on it to keep temperature controlled.
I like it. All right. Going back over to you, Holt. Talk to us about tankers.
Tanker, another type of trailer. I might struggle with this one a little bit because we don't do a ton of it, but it is a space that we're growing into. It is essentially a container for bulk liquids, right? Where it's a little bit different loading, and it's essentially a safe way to move bulk liquids. A lot more classifications, I guess you'd say, or training for the drivers that haul those. But just another type of trailer, right, for the type of commodity. It's a very specialized industry, if you would say, right, or segment of the full truckload industry. But that's kind of it.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's a lot more hazardous and a lot more flammable to deal with in that tanker world. Not that there can't be in the back of a standard full truckload. Back over to you, John. I see the word consolidation down here. Talk to me a little bit about consolidation, and maybe we'll all throw a little something in here.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say there's consolidation and a partial too as well. I know we're probably going to go over that as well, but I figured
we're here.
Kind of compare the two. Consolidation is more of your LTL, right? You are taking a bunch of shipments and making them fit into a trailer to maximize efficiency, right? You want to pack as much as you can onto one trailer, and as long as it works out, right? Is it going to the same areas? Can I drop it off on my way there? Making sure that the truck is loaded right, meaning that if I'm going to go to stop 1, I don't want my product to be all the way in the back of the trailer. Right. I got to unload the freight to get back to the freight that I need. So it takes a lot of planning, takes making sure you have the right freight on the truck too. You're not combining shipments that shouldn't be combined, like hazardous materials and food, right?
Right.
So it does take a lot to do that. Now, it does have to be taken back to like we were talking about, touch points. There is going to be a little more touch points than, let's just say, our next term, the partial truckload. Usually a partial truckload is loaded. It'll be loaded onto the truck. It'll be loaded with other freight. That freight does not leave the truck most of the time, right? It's going to be on the truck. Right. It's going to stay in one trailer. It's not going to be moved back and forth. So again, less touch points for a partial truckload, but might make more sense than a volume or consolidation option.
I like it. Anything you would add to that whole?
I would add too, just in that consolidated, when you say consolidation versus partial, right? Usually I think of consolidation, right? There's a warehouse involved. And you were explaining that, right? And then partial stays on the same trailer, right? So, I mean, I agree with everything you said. It's just that consolidation is almost like it brings in the warehouse, right? Where There's movement off the trailer. More people, like to your point, LTL. There's more people touching that freight.
Yep.
Partial is kind of like, hey, slap as much as you can get on a truckload. Make sure they can all ride together and it's not dangerous, and then send it on the way.
I like it. I know people talk about consolidation programs where you're looking at opportunities to go into whether it's Amazon or Walmart or any of those types of facilities and put more freight together. But it can also be as simple as LTL shippers not realizing that they've got orders that are being generated from multiple different sales groups within the company. You got things that are going from the same origin to the same destination the same week. Well, let's introduce them and let them make friends and get there so that we reduce the cost. So that consolidation is helpful in that. So, John, I want to touch one thing while we're still talking about truckload. I know there's different types of truckload, different size of truckload. So talk to me about some of those terms that the folks might hear, whether it's box truck or, couple different versions of that.
So yeah, your standard, we call it dry van, right? So a lot of the people in the industry is going to call it dry van. They're 53 foot long, just how you're going to see out on the road. 70% of the freight moves that way, right? You move in a standard 53 foot van. But they also come in all shapes and sizes, as you've probably seen out on the road too. You can get anything from a sprinter van, right? Just, 1 or 2 to 3 pallets. Puts it on there, goes to its destination, doesn't have to follow the same rules as a 53-foot would. You can get up to a box truck. So anything that you can rent at a U-Haul place, right? You can get a 16-footer, a 20-footer, a 26-foot. Now, and some of them are customized. They get up to 30 feet and 3 axles on it. You can customize however you want. But yeah, most of your truckload is going to be moved in a 53-foot truck, meaning that it has 53 foot long, 102 inches wide, 110 inches tall. That's pretty standard.
Why don't you go ahead and share, John, the weight limits on that, typical weight limits on that?
So your weight limit for a commercial truck is going to be 80,000 pounds. That means the truck, the driver, its dog, its food, everything in that truck.
Why'd you look at me when you said that, John?
Hey, man, I just had a good sandwich, so I'm thinking about food still too. But yeah, everything in the truck, 80,000 pounds. Now, most dry vans, right, not including, we can talk about refrigerated and flatbed trailers as well, but your standard dry van, most of them can get up to 45 to 46,000 pounds of cargo, meaning that their truck, trailer, and everything in it usually weighs somewhere around 34 or 35,000 pounds without any cargo in it. Now, flatbeds obviously don't have sides to them, so a lot of them can get up to 48,000 pounds. And then your refrigerated is going to be able to take a little bit less because you have a refrigerated unit, which takes up which weighs 500 to 1,000 pounds, as well as what people don't think about, a fuel tank underneath, right? So when that trailer is not connected, that is running the fuel in that refrigerated unit.
I like it. That's very helpful. And all those little terms that we hear thrown around all the time, it's good for somebody else to ask so I don't have to, right?
Right.
And Holt, there's a couple of fun ones in here, right? So tell me about goosenecks, and you can go RGN too, and all the different ways you can say it, right?
These are the fun ones, right? Yeah. So gooseneck trailer. Honestly, it looks like a goose's neck, right? So it's a type of flatbed trailer, and I guess let's maybe define the flatbed trailer first, right? It's an open deck. There aren't the walls down the side, over top, right? It's open air. Main reason for that, or 2 reasons, right? You can haul a little bit more weight, and the ease of unloading. You can load from the side, over top with a crane, right? You have a lot more options. So that's usually bigger pieces of equipment, things along those lines. You're going to be hauling open deck because of the way you have to unload them, and potentially because of some weight limits and things like that. So gooseneck trailer, honestly, hard to describe without a picture, right? But it's essentially the main compartment of the trailer is lower to the ground. So you can increase the height limit, the legal height limit, whether that's, a lot of times if you're using them, you're still going to have an oversized permit, but you can essentially you have more clearance for going under bridges for legality reasons, right? Permit reasons. And so there's at the hitch of the trailer, right, looks a little bit like a gooseneck so that it can sit on the fifth wheel. Moving on, step deck. Again, there's a step in it, essentially. So you still get some of those clearance savings, I guess you would say, with the step deck. Pretty similar to a open standard kind of flatbed, but slight difference there in the way it kind of steps down from the front and the back. Or I'm sorry, not the back, but just the front. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard. And then lastly, Conestoga, take a standard flatbed, right, and you have a curtain essentially that acts as a driving that you can roll forward and backward along the trailer to give you that ease of loading, but then also cover the trailer. And I guess let's step back to some of the flatbed stuff. The whole purpose of kind of the Conestoga, right, is it allows you to have that ease of loading. You don't necessarily get some, I think you can get some of the weight benefits, but not all of them, because you do have that rolling kind of curtain that weighs
Right.
something. But you can get the ease of loading from the sides and top of the trailer, but you also have it fully covered and not have to tarp it, right? And that's where a lot of times, almost always, not always, but usually, you'll have to tarp the load, right, so that you're covering it from rain and wind and things along those lines.
Absolutely. And John, talk to me about the kind of freight that you see on these types of trucks. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so your flatbeds are going to have more of, let's just say, so it's hard to load with a forklift, right? So
Right.
you can't 40-foot pipes. You're not going to be able to just load into a back
Shove
of
them in
the
the back
truck.
door.
Yeah, a long way, right? So a lot of that is done from the side. Anything that needs to be loaded by a crane. In a lot of, like Colt was saying with RGNs or removable gooseneck trailers, is they're going to be those large pieces of equipment, like, you know, your big excavators, your oversized ones that you can just drive right up onto the flatbed. I mean, I drive by some on the interstate every day, so there's a whole bunch of different uses for flatbeds, as well as big trusses, right? I've seen a lot of big trusses lately.
Yeah.
So just anything that might be loaded by crane, not easy to load in through the back of the truck.
I like it. And the Conestoga just means it's all that, but needs to be covered, and maybe a little more significantly than a tarp, right?
I usually explain it like if you ever played the game The Oregon Trail as a kid.
That's a good one.
You know, you're headed out west, you have the Conestoga wagon,
Yeah.
right? Same thing for our trucks nowadays.
I like it. I like it. All right, so we got through some of the types of truckloads. Let's get into the fun part now. Let's talk about some of the shipping slang that folks may hear and may not make a lot of sense to them. So, and I'm not talking about somebody at a concert here, but who wants to take what a deadhead is, what that means?
I can do that one.
Go
All right,
for it.
John.
So yeah, so in our world in logistics, deadhead is operating a truck without freight on it, right? So you're never going to have a shipment where you have a carrier that's getting unloaded at the same place that you want to load the truck, right? So your shipper and their previous receiver most of the time is not going to be the same place, right? So
Right.
there is deadhead associated with 99.9% of the loads out there that a broker 3PLS would book. So whether that's a mile down the road or 200 miles away, right? How far does that carrier have to drive without freight in their truck to get to their destination, to get to that shipper? We even think of it the opposite way too, right? Once that shipment delivers, how far is that carrier away from where they actually want to be, where their terminal is or where their home is? So we call that
Right.
destination deadhead as well. How far away is the carrier going to deliver that load from where they actually need to be?
Yeah, and that kind of brings in what you guys do in your world, which is trying to make sure that you can find that next load close to that delivery point, right? So that's part of how you piece all this together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we build our internal systems around it, right? Is matching capacity with the loads that we have available, right? So, I mean, we have entire teams of people dedicated to that, of looking at, okay, how much origin deadhead does this driver have and destination, and which driver matches that, you know, as perfect as we can get it. And to John's point, it's almost never perfect.
Right.
There's something there, but like if we can keep it within inside 25 miles on either side, that's a great. I mean, that's what we're shooting for, right? Is to have them right next door, and so
Absolutely.
that you can experience, you reduce delays, right? The more deadhead you have, a lot of times the more delays and just time for things to go wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of part of the reason why brokers are around, or
Yeah.
3PLs are around, right? Is to try to reduce that and maximize the efficiency there as much as possible.
John, I'm sure our carrier partners appreciate when you're giving them a load and they already know where that next load is coming from. That's got to help with cost. It's got to help with the relationship, right?
Correct. Yeah, they if we can get them where they need to go, they might deadhead a little bit farther on the front end, so because it gets them right where they need to be on the back end. So it's all about reducing deadhead for carriers.
And I'm going to just have you pick up the next term because folks are going to hear it. I know it's a little bit tied into what we're already talking about, but talk about backhaul. Just kind of define that piece.
Right. So backhaul is, so again, where I kind of just jumped ahead a little bit, but where does that carrier need to be, right? So in a backhaul model, meaning that there's two ways to kind of explain it. You can say, hey, I'm a carrier here in Tampa, and I have a customer that sends me all over the country, right? I have a contract with them. They send me to Atlanta. They send me to Dallas. They send me to Seattle, Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get back to my customer to service their freight, right? They're giving me, I'm contracted to move, however many loads a week. How do I get back to my customer? That's kind of where we come in, where we help carriers fill their network, right? They want to get back to Tampa to service their customers. We're trying to find them loads from Dallas, from Seattle, from Atlanta, and get them back to Tampa so they can come back, pick up their good paying contract freight that usually their customers are giving them. Also, another way to think about it is, hey, you're a one truck operation in Tampa again. You're sitting on your couch. You're looking for a load, right? You're willing to go anywhere you want, right? You can go to Dallas, Kansas City, Chicago. You pick the best paying load you can find and you head out for the week, right? And let's just say it takes you to Chicago. Well, now I want to come home, right? I can't just go from Chicago to LA. I can't go all the way to Los Angeles, right? I want to be home in Tampa. So that's also where we come into play. Hey, you need to get home. Let's find you a load to get you back to your house.
Right, absolutely. And again, just like we talked about before, removing those deadhead miles, helping somebody get backhaul freight is a good way to help reduce the cost to our shipping partners as well.
Correct.
Right. So good stuff. I like it. Everybody's learning, I hope. I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit here in the interest of time and just make sure we get to a few more of the fun pieces at the end of this. There's a ton of acronyms, and I know we joked about this up front with my SMAM and my SESM over here.
SESM, yes.
But, there's a ton of acronyms in our industry, and we're going to play a little game. And I'm going to ask my producer, Milvia, who's sitting over there looking at me now thinking, what am I about to get into? I'm going to ask her to keep score here for me a little bit. And we're going to have a little contest. And I'm going to just call out a few acronyms, and I want you guys to tell me what they are. And Milvia is going to score the person that gets it in first, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to start with a couple of initials that are in the industry, and then we're going to work on some documents and things that are in the industry as well. NMFTA. Here we go. Holt.
National Motor Freight Traffic Association.
Boom. We have a winner.
That's a point.
All right, there's a point. All right, I like the hand raising thing. I'll call on you. So
I mean, I can yell really loud.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Do we say it first or
NMFC? John.
National Motor Freight Classifications.
Ding, 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 ding. I like it. CSA. Holt.
Oh, I blanked on that. Wow.
John?
Yeah, I had it ahead of time.
Compliance, safety, accountability.
We have a steal, folks. We have a steal. I like it. All right, here comes another hot one. HOS. John, I saw the hand coming up first before I even asked the question.
Hey, that was hours of service.
I like it. All right. I'm gonna hold his hand down on this one. BOL. Holt.
Yeah, got the easy one. Bill of lading.
I think I'm gonna skip around so these guys can't look at the sheet
keep
here.
us on our toes.
Keep us on our toes here.
RFP. Holt, we got another winner.
Request for proposal or request for pricing.
Very good. He even gave me alternative answers in case I
go.
didn't
I've
like
seen
the first
both.
one.
I've seen both.
GRI. John.
General rate increase.
Absolutely. Well, and we're going to follow up on a few of these when we finish to talk to the listeners about what they actually mean. CSP.
Oh.
Milvia, the producer's chiming in on this. What do you got, Milvia?
Customer specific pricing.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a write-in vote. I like it. All right, we already did that one. I skipped. All right, let's see. POD.
Proof of delivery.
I like it. HVHR. That was a tie, but I think I'm going to throw it over to John this time.
We're going to go with high value, high risk.
I like it. LTL. Holt.
Less than truckload.
PTL. Holt.
Partial truckload.
FTL. John?
Full truckload.
I like it. All right, so this is a double. You give them 2 points for this, and you got to get them right, and it's got to be immediate. OTIF MABD. Holt?
Oh, that's right up my alley. On time and full, must arrive by date. I would be in a lot of trouble if I didn't get
you
those.
would.
Let me
Yes,
just say
you would.
that.
I'm going to put an asterisk by that one. We're going to come back to that one for the folks in a minute. All right. So, API EDI. John, I see a hand.
Electronic data interchange. API. I'm going to blank like Holt now.
That's the hard one. Yeah.
Well, I know it. It's just
Maybe you can-
application
Yeah.
process interchange. I
Close enough. I think it's program interface, but talk to me about the differences in between the two real quick, and we'll give you the points.
Oh, okay. So EDI is more of one directional, while API talks both ways.
I like it. That's all I
They're
needed from
simple.
that. All right. TMS. Holt.
Transportation Management System.
WMS. Holt.
Warehouse Management System or Warehousing Management System.
JIT. John.
Just in time.
I like it. You were just in time for
Just
that
in
one,
time.
too. OTR. Holt.
Over the road.
I have to avoid saying this one instead of saying the initials in the next one because I know none of us have ever said these initials. TONU.
I mean, I wouldn't even know. What are you talking about, Brian?
TONU.
Yes.
John.
Truck order not used.
Perfect. That's the ones we hope not to have. All right. I've got a few more. MT.
Oh, empty.
That's correct, John. LOA. Holt.
Letter of Authorization.
Perfect. NOI.
Oh, I've got it.
Holt.
Not otherwise included.
We'll give you
Close.
that one. It's indicated, but that's close.
Indicated. Indicated.
All right.
Okay.
All right, this is another one that I'm going to say these letters, and it's not going to sound familiar to you guys, so think through them. COGS.
Oh,
John,
cost of goods sold.
perfect. I like it. We all say COGS.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that throws you off when you
Doesn't
just
sound-
only hear the letters.
Doesn't sound right at all. And this is another one. There's no way that you're going to feel the same. SCAC.
Oh, SCAC. Yeah.
Yeah, John.
Well,
Jack,
yeah, well, he raised his hand.
you got it. You got it. Go for it.
I don't have it. That's why.
Well, then Holt has it.
Oh.
There's a steal.
Oh, what does the S stand for? I mean, we have to provide it all the
I
time.
know.
Standard carrier authorization code.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Very close. It's alpha code, but
Alpha code.
But 90% of the people in the
Okay.
industry say authorization code, so
Okay,
we'll live with
okay.
that. All right. Got two more here. LFD.
Oh,
John?
last free day.
Okay. Feel a little comeback coming at the end. LG?
LG.
Do I see any hands?
Life's good.
I mean, good guess. honestly.
Liftgate.
Liftgate, we have.
There it
All
is,
right.
there it
Milvia, I'll give you a few minutes to total up the scores there. We'll see how the game worked out. And while we're totaling the scores and seeing how we did, I'm going to go back through a few of these and let's talk about them.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap it up for the folks who were kind enough to listen to us today. Let's talk about what the hours of service. Let's talk about what that actually means, John, because I think that's important.
Right. So as a carrier or a driver, right, each driver has 11 hours per day to drive. That is all recorded by an ELD device, more acronyms, electronic logging device, required by the DOT to be in each commercial truck.
Department of Transportation.
Department of Transportation, more acronyms. Or the FMCSA, the Federal Carrier Safety Association, they actually monitor as well. Again, more acronyms. But each driver has 11 hours to drive per day, and then they have to take a 10-hour break. With that, there's all a bunch of nuances, right? So they actually have 14 working hours a day, meaning that they can be at a shipper, at a receiver, getting gas, stopping.
Right.
So there's a 14-hour workday. As soon as that truck turns on and starts moving, that's when your clock starts for the day. So yes, they do have to take a 10-hour break after driving for 11 hours. So if you pick up load in California and go to Florida, right, you can only drive 11 hours per day. It might take you 3 hours to get loaded at the shipper in California. You can still drive 11 hours. You have to stop, drive another 11 hours, stop, back and forth, right? And one other small thing is that if you are a carrier out on the road and you just drive wherever, right? You're just going, picking up the best paying loads that you can, right? You still have to do a 34-hour reset every 7 to 8 days, depending on how much you have driven during that time. So,
Right.
And then there's a few other smaller rules in between there.
Which all of this goes back to when you were talking about that deadhead and those backhaul miles and all that, and how important it is that they're being paid for those miles, right?
Right.
Because it's not like you have an unlimited amount in between the paychecks.
Correct.
Either, right? So good stuff. And I think this is helpful for everybody to understand. And now we can understand each other a little bit better from the shipper carrier perspective to know why things are sometimes as urgent and as serious as they can be. So I've got one more that I want you to help me define, talk about the not just the acronym, but what it's for and what it's used for, and that's the OTIF MABD.
Yep. So on time in full, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was originally introduced by Walmart,
Yep.
but it is a way to scorecard. Others have adopted the OTIF and MABD kind of all over the industry now, but it's essentially just measuring their suppliers based on the timeliness of receiving those goods, right, that they're buying from them, and then receiving them in the correct quantity that they did order. It is something that is, there are fines and fees associated with not being compliant with OTIF and MABD dates or amounts. But it is a very big focal point in the industry to being compliant to those, and is a big way that service providers stand out to their customers, right? Is
100%.
Can you deliver on OTIF and MABD to your customer, right? Because if you can't, I can pretty much guarantee you that you're probably not going to be around for too long, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a big point in our industry.
100%. And you said it, Holt. It's not just the importance of those penalties that you get for not being on time in full or having everything on the arrive by date. It's that you're all scorecarded, right? And just the same way that, we scorecard carriers.
Right.
Walmart, Amazon, all these places are scorecarding those vendors. And the easiest way to make sure you're not on the next special is to make sure you didn't arrive for this special, right?
Correct.
So that's why it's so important. That's why we do what we do. So before we wrap for the day, I do have to announce the winner. And it was a close match. It was Holt by a point. So Holt by a nose at the gate.
Just barely.
Just barely.
Recount.
That does go into a mandatory recount. Folks, we appreciate everyone listening in. We hope you had fun today. I know I did, and got to sit with a couple of good friends and enjoy some laughs and enjoy some terms and things that we hear all the time, and maybe it's good to have some context around them and really understand what they mean. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. That's a wrap for Logistics Unplugged.